Okay, so I'm gonna show you how to draft a standing shirt collar right now, and I brought a shirt from my closet that would give you an example of what a standing shirt collar is. It's basically one of those, like a men's dress shirt or basic button-down shirt. And it comes in two different pieces. There's this first stand-up element, which is your mandarin collar, basically. And then the fold-over collar attaches to that. So I'm going to show you how to do the combination of both of these to give you a cool standing shirt collar. And the fun thing is once you get this down, you can adapt this little wing on there any way you want. Like you could draw it square there or make it woo 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 loopy, or any way you wanted to do that. So let's jump in and get this drafted. Start with your mandarin collar that you've already done. So if you haven't already done this, do it, because this is kind of a baseline for any type of collar that you're going to attach to your sloper's neck edge. So this is the mandarin collar that I drafted out with you before. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to trace this out. So I'm going to start over here, trace this baby out. I'm going to start with my center back seam. That's the seam that would get cut on a fold of material. And then you're going to trace all the way this bottom edge and your top edge. Don't do your right hand side yet, because what you're going to do, I'm lifting this up and moving it. So I've got this center back seam right there, and I'm going to measure over, boop, 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 boop. I'm going to measure over 3/4 of an inch. So I'm coming in 3/4 of an inch, and I'm going to take that center back seam and I'm going to lay it right at that 3/4 inch mark. Follow along my bottom edge. So I'm at the 3/4 inch mark, follow along the bottom edge, and then finish up your tracing. Right like that. Whoop. So what you've done is you've extended from the center back seam over 3/4 of an inch this way. And what that creates is the little overlap that we need. Do you see how that bottom part is a little bit longer than your top part? We've just accounted for it right there. Then you're going to, I'm going to set my mandarin collar aside. You're going to come in and measure from this point, from your right hand side, but this is called a button overlap. From that point, you're going to measure over 1 inch, whoop, 1 inch, and make a mark right at that top. That's my 1 inch mark. We're going to use that in a second. Perfect. All right, that's it. That's the standing part of your collar. I'm going to outline it in Sharpie marker, because the next step, you're going to put your piece of paper. So grab another piece of paper. There's my center back seam. This bottom edge is the edge that attaches to your neck hole, and that's my 1 inch mark right there. Okay, so standing collar part. Now, we're going to do the little pointed collar. Take another piece of paper, and I'm hoping you may not be able to see it here, but I can see my mandarin collar behind. So start by giving yourself a 90-degree angle. So I'm going to line this up. This is a really cool tool. Kind I know this, I'm going off on a tangent here, but if you're ever at like a thrift store, like a Goodwill or a Savers, oh my God, I live at those places. Make sure that you check out like the back wall where they bag the knick-knack stuff. Most of the tools that I've gotten for drafting are just kind of shoved in those bags. They're like, here, you could take this whole bag for 50 cents. And it's got lots of sewing materials, threads and zippers. And so anytime that you're out thrift store shopping, go to that back wall because there might be some really cool sewing gear. So this is just a real easy peasy, it's a transparent T-square. That helps out lining things up and keeping your angles. I'm going to give myself 90 degrees here. Actually, I'm going to move it up a little bit higher. I'm going to go at that 1/4 inch. So there's my horizontal line. And then if I match this edge to that horizontal line, I know that my upper line is what? It's 90 degrees. Whoop. Okay, so I'm going to set that bottom 90-degree corner onto my corner over here, my center back corner that I've got. I'm going to set that, line it up, but then I want you to move it down a 1/2 inch. So here, this is how I'm going to mark 1/2 inch right there. So that little 1/2 inch mark is going to line up on my center back seam a 1/2 inch down. So my horizontal line is a 1/2 inch down. Can you see the bottom edge of the stand-up part? I'm a 1/2 inch down now. And you want to hold that down. Don't move it all around. Don't do that. Okay, so now that I've shifted it down a 1/2 inch, then I'm going to go in and trace the top part of my mandarin collar. I'm hoping you can see that Sharpie mark under there. I'm tracing that top part of the collar. Just go right off. And then, remember I marked under there that 1 inch mark where it begins to, the overlap button begins to make its arch. I'm going to mark that too. So now I've got this edge that's going to attach to the top part of my collar. And then I'm going to take this part, and this is just a kind of a cheat sheet that I'm going to give you. That corner right there, the corner of the mandarin collar, whoop, right there, you're going to give yourself another 90-degree vertical line. Boop. And then you're going to take that 1 inch, came over 1 inch, match up that 1 inch line. Look at this 90 degree that's here. 90 degrees to your 1 inch mark. Pew! Cool! And that is my point right there. I've just created that point. Now, go in. I'll make this darker so you can see how it's going to attach. Use your ruler, don't cheat like I am. And then here, there we go. Those are your two pieces, and they go, well, it goes like that. Should have traced it on the other side. Let's just do that for you so you can really get a full picture of what this is supposed to look like. Okay, so this, if you can envision, this edge is going to attach to this edge. You'll have the little overlap that'll happen right here. And this bottom edge is what is going to attach to your neck hole seam. Now, before I stop the video, what I want you to think about as you're doing this, this is your standard little boop collar that flops over. This right here, maintaining this bottom edge so it fits right here nicely, all of this you could change. You could go in and do like a, woo, wouldn't that be a fun little collar? Woo. That's where you can get really crazy and wacky with designs. And this is my costumers. This is very for men. This is an indicator on suits and on shirts of what time period you're in. Think about the men that wore those groovy polyester, really wide lapelled, pointy collared shirts. That was very stereotypical late 60s, 70s. And then, and also how far these mandarin collars set up. Collars are a little cheat sheet for men on what period we're in. Okay, that was just a little added blah blah blah. All right, I'm going to upload this video and then I will show you the flat collar, how that sits, and then I'll show you how to attach those to your garment. Before you run ahead and think, oh, I totally know how to do it. Remember that on some of these, we have to account for the seam allowance. So if I was going to do this mandarin collar, even though we added the seam allowance down here, I knew I wanted it to just sit up an inch. We didn't add seam allowance up there and to the side. So I'll show you how we account for that. Okay, hope you guys are having a lovely day today. See ya.